The Brisbane Broncos travel to Hull in the UK in February 2026 to contest the World Club Challenge against Hull Kingston Rovers, normally known as Hull KR, the British Rugby League champions. Over the next few weeks, I'll be analysing everything that Hull KR will bring to fight against Brisbane on that day. My name's Addison. I'm the owner of Rugby League Coach. Welcome to all those listening and watching on the Super League 360 podcast and also the Rugby League Coach podcast. Every team has phases during a game when they get nervous, but Hull KR tend to do this at the start of their big games. So their two biggest games last year were the Challenge Cup final in the middle of the year and the Super League Grand Final at the end of the year, both which they won quite well. Now, this has to change if they're going to beat the Brisbane Broncos, because the Brisbane Broncos are going to come to England prepared. Madge Maguire definitely wants his team to win this title. So it's going to be on like Donkey Kong in Hull. Let's have a look what Hull KR might bring in the opening of this big game. Let me share my screen. Before we look at the screen recording of Hull Kingston Rovers or Hull KR in the Super League Grand Final, please allow me to tell you about the Coach Mentor Programme that I and we at rugbyleaguecoach.com.au run. I've coached at NRL clubs, World Cups and elite high schools in Australia, amongst many other things, and I like to pass on my experiences to coaches coming through the programme themselves. The Coach Mentor Programme 2026 is our fourth year of it. We've had 8 grand final wins, 11 teams were competition runners-up, 92% of our teams finished in the top 4, but every single team improved. If you're an individual coach or a club looking for something better for your coaches, now is the time to get in touch. Please go to rugbyleaguecoach.com.au. If you're just interested in accessing some online programs, please go to rugbyleaguecoach.com.au/shop to see the different options there for monthly, yearly and lifetime plans with no lock-in contracts. This is Hull KR in the red and white, playing against Wigan in the Super League Grand Final of 2025. This is the first kickoff. What you will notice about Hull KR is they do wrap across the field when they carry the ball forward. What I mean by that is, instead of going directly down a channel, they are going to work across the field from touchline to touchline, if you like, or scrum line to scrum line. What we've just seen there is a block play or an X, so they didn't just send in a forward straight away or an outside back in straight away with no support. Already they've done a block play and a face ball, which is a ball that goes in front of an attacker, a dummy running attacker. This is the most conventional hit up they've done on their fourth play, I think this is. They then bring the ball back to the middle and we should soon see a kick. You will find a problem in Super League that the markers aren't often square. Now, here's our first problem with Hull KR. Like I said, markers are very rarely square in the Super League. It's just something that's been allowed to slip into the officiating at Super League level in England. I've been noticing this for years. However, Hull KR did not have good kick protection for their left-footed kicker here. As you can see, nobody is protecting Mikey Lewis, who's received the ball. Now, he's received the ball from his right, so he has to transfer it over to his left foot, and the kick is charged down, which is a really poor start for Hull KR. These are basics, and they should always be dealt with early in a game. Luckily for Hull KR, they get the ball back. There's the block play again. It could have been so different. So there's the first warning sign for Hull KR there. Very similar set to the last one that we saw. They are moving the ball across the field gradually. There's another block play there, so a block play looks like an X to the football educated viewer in that regard. And this whole set construction is designed to work the Wigan forwards over. So in this collision, there may have been a penalty in there, but ultimately there wasn't. There may have been hands on the ball, but poor ball carriage from the Hull KR forward. So Wigan had their opportunity. Hull KR survived. That was actually a forward pass, quite frankly, and it didn't get noticed. So there's 3 errors already in the first few minutes of the game. Hull KR dealt with what Wigan threw at them, and they've got the ball again for the next set. Again, working over the middle of the field, they've identified that Wigan might be poor laterally in the middle of the field. I don't know if this will necessarily work against Brisbane Broncos, who have quite a mobile pack, with the exception of maybe Payne Haas defensively. That was an okay set from Hull KR. Then the next set, they were asked to come out from their own end, physically manhandled on the kick return. You need to expect that in big games. Defences are going to be tough. A block play again, so you can't tell me that the Wigan defence isn't starting to read this now, so they probably need some more variety on that first play. They can't do the block play all the time, but here's some variety now. They go back down the short side. On the next play, as the TV replay was being shown at the bottom of the screen, Hull KR lost the ball again. So we're still within the first 10 minutes of this game. Hull KR have made what I see as 4 errors. One of them didn't get noticed, which was a forward pass. So now we go to some Wigan possession. So they've been building pressure in this game. Now, the Hull KR defence deals with this relatively well. I want you to look at the right centre's defence, who does quite well in difficult circumstances in this next few sets. Hull KR put a lot of emphasis on being aggressive in defence, so they get up very quickly. It's not a straight line, so there are opportunities for attacks. Wigan take the ball to the middle. Their collisions are quite good. They do kill the contact line, so they can stop the runners quite abruptly. But I think you'll agree with me that that defensive line is fast. Not necessarily a straight line, but that can be worked with. What I do have concerns about is the defensive spreads on the edges if Wigan wanted to have an opportunity to pop into there. And of course we're thinking in terms of what Brisbane Broncos might do too and what they might bring. Now, this is going to be interesting because now Bevan French for Wigan is getting involved and they shift the ball. I want you to watch the right centre of Hull KR. He comes out and you can almost see here on this clip that we've got a jagged defensive line. And he's starting to crouch in his defensive position. What he does really well, though, here is back pedals. And you quite often hear commentators criticise defences for being passive, but the Hull KR right centre here readjusts. It was amazing athleticism, and he manages to save the day but it was absolutely amazing from that Hull KR centre there. I'm going to take you through that again, because the camera doesn't zoom in on the right centre for Hull KR, on the top of the screen as you look, second defender down. I want you to watch how he defends here. So he moves up, and then he sits, and he holds, and then he retreats. And then as he's retreating, he then readjusts and comes forward again. That's amazing athleticism and well readjusted. So Wigan are on the charge here now. This is another warning shot for Hull KR, because their line speed is so big, it does put Wigan under some pressure. And if they do this to Brisbane will have good instincts because of the way they've played football in this last year. Now, Wigan turn to the kick. And from that kick, it's Wigan who bat the ball down, not Hull KR. So again, another warning sign. Wigan get possession, and you'd think there'd be a try here, wouldn't you? So this is the 5th error in terms of Hull KR, but luckily for them, Farrell of Wigan drops his lollies and there's no try. The kick, the attacking kick, not fielded well, and then Jared Waerea-Hargreaves, who I know will not be playing against Brisbane, just did a shoulder charge there as he comes in to target the ball. So the referee gives a penalty. So Hull KR have just given away a penalty. So that's another error to add to the list. Another piggyback, if you like. So Hull KR, the league leaders, were favourites for this game. Oh, sorry, I think Wigan were actually, but I think Hull KR really fancied their chances. We've got a kick through here, and Hull KR retrieve it and return the ball. Physically manhandled, and the ball gets lost. Another error from Hull KR. This is all in the first 10 minutes of the game. And if they start like this against Brisbane Broncos, who are going to come from Australia prepared, then it's going to be a tough afternoon. They could find themselves 12 or 18 points down very early because of the attacking prowess in the Broncos outfit. So Wigan have yet another set. They've dominated field position in this game. Admittedly, I've not shown you all the game. I've just taken the key moments. I just need you to trust me that this is how the game panned out. The Wigan attack isn't fantastic and isn't necessarily exploiting all the opportunities it has. However, Bevan French is putting on some footwork, and Hull KR are trying to react to that. Because they're aggressive, they are sometimes leaving their defensive line duties and flying out and hoping to settle the score with physicality. The kick goes through. Bevan French, you think, will surely score this, and he actually didn't put the ball down. We now go to the Challenge Cup final. So this is the knockout competition in England, and this is the start of the Challenge Cup final, where many viewers and observers felt that Hull KR were lucky to win with a controversial try at the end. Remember, I talked to you about Hull KR wrapping their sets across the field when they start, and something else I want to look at too. Have you noticed how often some of the runners from Hull KR that are returning the football get manhandled? So Broncos have a great chance to do this if they kick well, which I'm sure they will. So remember last time Hull KR started with a block play. They've just done that again, and they worked across the field against Wigan. Well, now they're playing against Warrington. Block play, face ball, it's exactly the same. So Brisbane can prepare for this, I think, and they can defend it accordingly. The benefits of moving a defence across like this is that you're moving defenders up, across and back, and if you were to attack back at them, in theory, some of them might not defend the football very well. But there's opportunities galore if you know what's coming each week, and in the big games, Hull KR have come up with the same strategy of exit at the start of both games, and then the Mikey Lewis left foot kick. We're now going to see Hull KR returning the football, and again, great kick chase that puts pressure on the fullback, and Hull KR are now carrying the ball back out. This was a game they only won 8-6 from memory, and they are getting physically manhandled at the start of it, and I think this is something that Brisbane Broncos might pursue a little bit later in the game. Jared Waerea-Hargreaves with a head high shot. Now again, I know he won't be playing, but again, why was this not dealt with? Why was this still in his game at this point of the season? Bit later, Hull KR trying to shift the ball, are lucky to get away with that one, which looked like a knock-on. So there's definitely problems the way Hull KR start these big games. Kick chase led to a penalty for a head high shot. Again, their physical defensive style doesn't leave much room for error, and it can cause penalties. There's this markers not being square again. A kick through from the Warrington half, and Hull KR have to return the kick. These are all very early in the game, and once again a player manhandled, and the ball comes loose. So I think you'll notice there that Hull KR looked a little bit rusty, quite frankly, at the start of both of those games. And there are many things that influence a game of rugby league, and quite often the first 10 minutes can be a huge barometer. And of course, Jared Waerea-Hargreaves, who played so well in the Super League Grand Final, won't be there this time. So things that Willie Peters, coach of Hull KR, has to address before the World Club Challenge game. Keep in touch every week. There will be video analysis each week to help you through the Christmas break. Take care.